there, Caiser here. Welcome to Reset 30 of Tower of Adversity. Yes, 30, I messed up the numbering. I skipped the previous reset due to a massive in-real-life shift and have much less free time to myself. Going forward, I don't plan to do the tiered list thing anymore and just spiel about the most shilled teams. Anyways, buckle up for what is probably the most HP inflation and thus highest difficulty spike of recent memory in terms of the TOA. Yes, I know about Toon Break. I will cover that at the end of the video. First off, we have the right tower. We will be fighting Fleur-de-Lis, who has a huge HP jump from 1.95 million to 2.52 million HP. For stage modifiers, we will have decreased fusion resistance. With an attack buff on intro skill, and casting resonance skill will grant a brief resonance liberation damage increase. Lupa benefits fully from this shill buff, but it can be accessed by all characters with nuke-based liberations. As for the fight itself, it can be quite hectic as Fleur has a very aggressive attack pattern if you miss her parries. Take care not to be staggered, and knowing how her various attacks are performed will help in clearing. In the left tower, featuring two Fraxidus Executioners and Scar. These HP differences will be compared from 2 resets ago, because the previous reset featured a solo boss. The two elites in Wave 1 will increase in HP from 476k to 582k, whereas the boss is going to increase from 1.57 million to 1.89 million. The left tower will feature decreased Electro resistance. There's a universal buff portion of plus 30 attack on receiving healing, and a half shield portion of plus 30 crit damage while a shield is active on your character. Free-to-play players can get all of these buffs via Taozi or an S5 Yuanwu on Originate Gauntlet Type 4, but this stage is an obvious shill to Augusta owners. For enemies, we are returning to a 2-wave setup, with Fraxidus Executioners in the first wave followed by Scar. The Executioners are notoriously slippery with smoky blink strikes and a ridiculous recovery move that creates massive distance if you knock them down. Their attacks are also extremely quick, with minor stagger which does not give your character recovery iframes and can delete you if you aren't careful. Scar is Scar. He has highly telegraphed attacks and shouldn't be too difficult to take down. On to the Hazard Tower. For buffs, Hazard floors 1 and 2 will feature decreased Havoc and Arrow resistance, and increased Glacio and Spectral resistance. All Resonators are going to benefit from a crit damage buff, and dealing basic attack damage will result in up to a plus 30 all attribute damage bonus for a short duration. For each attribute, this is a shill for Havoc Rover, Camellia, and Cartithia, or Encore for a free-to-play option. In floor 1 of the Hazard Tower, we will be fighting Sentry Construct, whose HP increased from 3.2 million compared to the last reset to 3.5 million. Sentry Construct is quite the scripted fight so long as you do its parries. It has extremely low vibration strength, so parrying its first move and rotating through your intro skills fast enough will break it very quickly. If you do somehow whiff the parry, Sentry will stay in the air and continue to harass you from the skies, so it is in your best interest to parry that opening move. At low vibration strength values, it will shield up, which you will have to use the grapple point above its head, and then hit it a couple times to knock it out of its vibration recovery stance. Running to the sides of it will cause it to do an extended attack chain. Sentry's only other attack of note is its Frost Cannon that has many hit counts and is capable of freezing you, if not killing you outright. As for the second floor of the Hazard Tower, we will have 2 Rocksteady Guardians, followed by 2 Rage Against the Statues, ending with Morning Ikes. Compared to the last reset, the 3-cost mobs' HP did not change. However, it's as if Kuro took away all of the 1-cost mobs and then increased the boss's HP in exchange, from 2.18 million to 2.62 million. Rocksteady Guardians aren't too difficult to deal with, but the Rage Statues do have a mechanic where they will put up an arm shield which absorbs all damage in the direction the statue is facing. If you aren't able to outright burst down the statue from the get-go or deal damage behind it, then breaking the arm shield is paramount to survival, as depleting the arm shield's health will break the statue itself, as well as stop its stomping attack, which hits hard and frequent enough to kill you in just a few moments, even faster if both statues stomp at you at the same time. Ikes is a regularly occurring boss at this point and will swoop up and down for many of its attacks. Compared to its last appearance 3 resets ago, Kuro has gotten rid of that one parry where, if you land it, would slow your game down to absolute molasses for a whole 2 seconds. You do lose a bit of that vibration damage, but the fight will stay smooth and not have that lag anymore. Hazard floors 3 and 4 are our super shill floors now, and I don't think the HP inflation has done the deep hazard tower any favors. Last reset featured negative status shilling, and this reset features echo skill damage shilling, both archetypes which are very much underdeveloped in terms of roster size. The timer-based ramping buff is a staple modifier in this part of the tower. As for the other buff, all characters will have 40% increased final echo skill damage, and negative status damage gains 60% amplification. The negative status damage portion really only applies to Zani, whose liberation attacks are additionally coded as spectral frazzle damage. Frazzle and arrow erosion tick damage does not scale with the resonator stats, aside from the level of the resonator who applied it, so while the amplification to typical tick damage isn't insignificant, it also isn't much to write home about. Sorry about that, cart. Finally, the enemy modifier. Enemies will naturally start out with 5 stacks of all attribute resistance, totaling up to 40%, and this doesn't include the resistance of plus 20% that all endgame enemies have at a base. Granted, these resistance stacks are decreased every time you cast an echo skill, and said echo skill additionally grants a stacking increased final damage buff at arbitrary numbers per stack. The real insidious part about this buff is that in a non-negative status team that also does not feature skills that are also counted as an echo skill have only 3 total echo skills to their name. Apply this circumstance to the enemy modifier, and the buffs and debuffs will cancel out to a grand total of plus 0% damage increase per this stage's buff, disregarding the timer-based ramping buff. That being said, the stage greatly favors Frolova and Galbrana teams, although those who pulled for either Toyuan or Cantarella could opt to stick either in the team with Rejuvenating Glow, though Toyuan will want to additionally equip the Originite Sword Type 2. At least then you'll be able to make use of the full 40% increased final damage buff. Otherwise, full negative status teams in Zani over Kartithia will be able to take advantage of the plus 60 amp to negative status damage. No matter what team you're playing, it's probably best to dump all of your normal echo skills before starting your rotation. This way, you will immediately benefit from the 2 or 3 stacks of increased damage, while removing the stacks of additional all attribute resistance off of the enemies. In its current state, prior to 3.0, this Hazard 3 and 4 is by far the most unfriendly to free-to-play and skill issue players. Floor 3 of the Hazard Tower is going to feature 2 Abyssal Patriciuses, a return of the solo Lumiscale Construct, a Questless Knight, and ending with Lampy Lumen Myriad. For HP value differences, we will be comparing the first wave values to 2 resets ago, as that was the last time the first wave also featured 2 3-cost mobs. Waves 2 and 3, as well as the boss wave, will be compared to the previous reset. For wave 1, we had 405k 2 resets ago, and this current reset that has increased to 445k HP. For wave 2, it was previously 810k HP, lowered to 656k. For wave 3, we went up from 1.21 million to 1.42 million, and for the boss wave, we went from 2.86 million up to 3.61 million. Do note that in wave 2 in the current reset, and wave 3 in the previous reset, Lumiscale Construct has a mechanic in which it gains 50% damage reduction, so the effective HP of the Lumiscale Construct is actually much higher than listed. As for how the fight will break down, the 2 Patriciuses will have a tendency to ungroup themselves. Having this bad RNG happen will result in you not being able to AoE them down at the same time, which can eat into your timer quite significantly. Lumiscale Construct is not as tanky as in the previous reset, seeing as it is now a Wave 2 elite, as opposed to being in Wave 3, so some attacks such as the Huge Tornado may not come out. Again, the Lumiscale does feature a mechanic which it will shield itself when not attacking. Hitting it during this time will cut your outgoing damage by 50%, so it's imperative that you either break the Lumiscale immediately with intro skills, or time your nukes such that you are landing hits when the shield is lowered. Questless Knight is a straightforward fight. Breaking it will make its Shadow Clone disappear, or prevent it from summoning it in the first place. Finally, Lampy Lumen returns again for the 3rd time in the past 4 resets. From Ice Puddles made with its initial Ground Slam, more Ice Puddles left behind when it charges, going Bouncy House at certain HP thresholds, Lampy has a ton of mechanics that you need to play around. Being in the air will let you avoid incoming damage as well as those Glacio Chafe stacks, so there's quite a bit of loadout experimentation or even resonator specific attacks that you can do during the fight to make things feel seamless, just at the cost of using a lower damaging action. Hazard Floor 4, featuring Mech Abomination and Thundering Mephis. Reset 30 is going to be the first time that Hazard Floor 4 is going to receive any kind of HP change, ever since the Hazard Tower expansion in Reset 27. With this reset, Mecha Bomb is going to push the first boss's HP from 2.55 million to 2.84 million, while Thundering Memphis is going to push the HP from 3.80 million to 4.23 million. Mecha Bomb and Thundering Memphis are probably the most straightforward fights as well. Be careful of Mecha Bomb's grab move that it tends to do at the beginning of the fight, as well as its wide sweeping moves that will knock you around. From my fights, I couldn't see it do its lightning field attack, so that's potentially one cancerous move that you no longer have to worry about. Thundering Memphis is the same old slippery bastard that it is, but gets staggered with so much as being breathed on. It also features many parryable attacks. Landing them all will quickly immobilize it, giving even more time for you to wail on it for free. And that will wrap up this TOA Reset 30. It's no doubt that Kuro inflated the HP of this TOA Reset in anticipation for the upcoming Toon Break combat mechanic to be released in version 3.0. Personally, I think that increasing of the HP in anticipation isn't needed. Letting the players stomp the endgame once in a while isn't inherently a bad thing. The correction could have been fine to have been introduced in the next reset. Doing so too early just leaves a sour taste in the regular, non-sweaty player's mouth when the difficulty spike has risen so high that all of a sudden, most teams, even shilled ones, will barely clear at 3 Doritos unless team rotations are unbelievably optimized. That'll be it for me. I'll see you all in version 3.0, back in school. Caiser, signing out.